You're listening to the Downeast Mike podcast, the quirky little podcast from Maine. And now, your host, Downeast Mike. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. This is Downeast Mike, and you're watching or listening to the Downeast Mike podcast. And I hope you're having a great day. Let's share our screen out here so you can see what's going on along with me. This is Downeast Mike, episode 43. We have news and commentary, probably more commentary than anything that's really news to you. This is July 9th, 2022. We made it through the 4th of July. You know, there's a thought in Maine that after the 4th of July, summer has ended. In some respects, maybe that's true. I was looking out the window out there, and the maple tree is turning colors right over the gopher hole. And it's kind of got that totally October look about it. But I don't think, it's just that one tree, and I don't think it's anything, I don't really think it's because it's fall as a rapid onset fall disease. I think it's just because it's so very dry out there. We're in part of a drought. But we've got a pool in the backyard. It's, as I've told you before, we have three pools, and that's where you pour water from one into the other. And you can use them that way. So we've got reservoirs. If we ever actually need any more water, we've got plenty. But this is episode 43. If you've made it this far and you're still listening, thank you. We are officially listed as comedy. There's no intention there to be funny. If you do laugh, I apologize. We're supposed to be serious and a little bit entertaining, but more educational, edutainment. And our motto is, some of this is whimsy, some of this is true, and the interpretation of it all is entirely up to you. Saturday, July 9th, 2022. In today's episode, we have our national and international headlines, and then we'll have the main headlines. And then we'll look at some of the news from the past on this day. Trudeau's election bid, and the stock market plunging, a deer being wrestled, a whiskey barrel exploding, and then Maine's not so biweekly bird. All right, we're going to go right to our headlines here. And our headlines of the day, we'll pull it over so I can look into the camera more, and it won't seem so disconcerting the way my eyes dart about the screen furtively. Elon Musk has killed the Twitter deal. You probably heard that by now. When you've got $1 billion or so lying around, what do? You look for things to buy. And Twitter must have seemed attractive to that poor Muskie man. The headline says, Musk pulls out Twitter, will sue, spam, fake, fraud. Mourners are laying flowers in sake at the grave site, or the site where poor Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe was assassinated yesterday. Kamala Harris was caught up in a word salad when asked if Democrats failed to codify Roe versus Wade. Democratic governors offer aggressive abortion gun response contrasting with Biden. These are the actual headlines. I'm just reading them. Texas Attorney General Biden needs to apologize to cleared Border Patrol agents. And Jean-Pierre, for sure, the White House approves protest of the Kavanaugh steak dinner. And that's where Justice Kavanaugh was out for steak dinner, and the protesters were outside, and they forced him to leave through the back door of the restaurant before he had dessert. And I guess that's the bad outcome there. Trump urges death penalty for drug dealers. China has no drug problem. Okay. Police swarmed Steve Bannon's DC home in frightening swatting attack. Biden tells Japan's PM of outrage at Abe's assassination. The Wall Street week ahead, recession, soft landing, or stagflation. I think that's enough national, international headlines. How about the headlines for Maine? We have the family of Maine man with pellet gun shot by officer settles suit. Okay. Maine doctors pilot direct primary care model to improve medical care. To beat inflation, a Phoenix restaurant buys its own lobster wharf in Maine. I read a little bit about that. That's pretty neat. They have a $9.95 lobster roll with fries. They only have a couple things on their menu. And the deal there is you buy this, they bought the whole wharf, and they're going to sell gas to the lobster fishermen at cost and keep the cost down. And then they're going to have their own lobster processing plant right there. So they'll be able to cut out the middleman and sell that lobster roll cheap. But probably the funny thing is that $9.95 lobster roll won't be available in Maine. It'll be available in Arizona. So almost pay for you to drive there to get the lobster roll. What else for Maine headlines? Third consecutive drop in COVID hospitalizations. And Maine requires larger communities to step up fight against stormwater pollution. That's boring. Oh, Maine restaurant residents report seeing a monkey roaming in downtown Portland. So I was looking into that one a little bit, and they think it's a little research monkey that got loose. And he's wandering around in Portland. They haven't got a picture of him yet, but they will, because there's so many people that have seen him. It's only a matter of time before that monkey gets caught out. One person says that they working at a coffee shop, said she saw the monkey. She closed up business this week. It appeared mangy and was sitting on a dumpster. That could have been me on my coffee break. Another resident said it was driving a friend to a bus. So if you're driving your friend to the bus station, why don't you just drive your friend to where they need to go? Anyway, she was driving a friend to the bus station on Monday when a small creature ran across the road in front of her car. She thought it was a squirrel initially, but then she got closer and saw that it had a round head, funny ears, and a little skinny tail. Sounds like somebody running for office in Maine. All right, that's enough of the headlines. Let's go look at our word of the day. Our word of the day is conflagration. And that means fire, especially a large disastrous fire. I'm not sure why we picked this as word of the day. Another definition would be conflict or war. The conflagration between the two countries lasted for 10 years. The historic tavern burned to the ground in a horrible conflagration. The combination of dry brush and dense timber whipped the conflagration into a high severity crown fire. Oh, we like crown fires. At first used in 1600, some of the other words were ever blooming, able-bodied, heart-whole, henna, grand duchess, giraffe. They didn't use giraffe until 1600. All right, that's enough of our word of the day. Let's look at our birthdays today. Happy birthday today to Oliver in Troy. Oliver turns 28 today and is an excellent mechanic with a side hustle of selling collectible baseball cards. Happy birthday to Maud of Wilton, Maine today. Maud turns 72 and has been enjoying many rides to York Beach so far this summer. We'll share out our screen so you can follow along with our progress here. Share that right out. So on this day, 1974, Watergate was reaching the High Court, and the argument there was that President Nixon should not have to reveal any of his testimony And we know how that turned out for him. Also on this day, 1974, the Trudeau party was in an early lead over Robert Stanfield's Conservative Party in Monday's election. That was to decide who can better cope with Canada's surging inflation. So it really hasn't changed much from today, has it? The first returns from the Atlantic Maritime provinces on Monday night. The Liberals led in 4 seats previously held by Conservatives, blah, blah, blah. Stanfield won re-election in his home district of Halifax, Nova Scotia. I almost remember him, almost. Also on this day, Nixon was urging limits on missiles. He proposed in Moscow last week that both the United States and the Soviet Union limit the number of their missiles with multiple nuclear warheads, and then phase out some of their land-based missiles with single warheads. Things have not changed too much, have they? If you're looking on the screen here, we have a nice ad from 1974. This is for Bar Harbor Airlines in conjunction with Delta. And you could fly Bar Harbor Airlines to Boston and then Delta to Florida, Houston, New Orleans, Atlanta, and Washington. Save gas, save time, save money. Now more than ever, it makes good sense to leave your car here and fly to Boston to catch your flight. It's fast, it's thrifty, it's hassle-free. There's just one phone call for your reservations, one ticket, one check-in, and your luggage is checked all the way through to your final destination. And that was when you would just, you'd have your baggage. It was probably included in the price of the ticket. And they checked it and they carried it for you, and nothing got scanned. You didn't have to raise your arms up and, do that turn-in thing, and didn't have anybody checking underneath your clothes. Those are the old heady romantic days of flying. The stock market on this day, 1974, the worries over rising inflation rates and interest rates, and some psychological worries about the Dow Jones Industrial Average gave the market on the New York Stock Exchange its steepest decline in 5 months on Monday. The Dow Jones average closed at 770 points, its lowest level since November 23rd, 1970. Imagine that. What's it up to now? 32,000? We had a big hailstorm on this day, day before. Hailstones as big as ice cubes broke windows and ruined gardens in the Whitneyville, Jonesboro area Monday afternoon as parts of a heavy rain and thunderstorm swept in from the east. Mrs. Harry Bridges reported 4 windows broken in her home. One window was battered out of the frame by the chunks of ice, which she said were about 1 inch long. She still has some in the freezing compartment of her refrigerator to prove the size. So important that you gather those and freeze them so you can prove them to everybody. Another woman in Whitneyville who declined to have her name made public verified that her garden was destroyed by the hailstorm. Beans were battered to the point where only the stalks were left standing. Bruce Pennell, also of the community, said his children wanted him to take them on a snowmobile ride over the ice-covered fields and roadways after the storm, but a hot sun wiped away much of the ice in the open areas. That would have been something to see. A flagpole was reported down in Jonesboro. Numerous gardens were destroyed, and then Alice Mahiney lost her tomato plants. I've been through there right after a tornado went through. It was quite a sight. Also on this day, the state may buy the Olson house. The Olson farmhouse, where crippled Christina Olson was immortalized by painter Andrew Wyeth in Christina's World, may be purchased by the state to keep the Olson home from being moved to New Jersey. Governor Kenneth Curtis said Monday that the state had contacted film director Joseph Levine, current owner of the building, and has offered to either purchase or take over and maintain the property. Wyeth's association with Maine is one the state should be proud of, Governor Curtis said. The old farmhouse located in the coastal town of Cushing has become a museum and showplace for Wyeth paintings. And if you've never been there, it is worth the drive. Just the drive down there is really something. It takes you back in time. And it's such a beautiful part of Maine to go see. Many residents of that quiet little town have objected to the increase in traffic bringing visitors to the Olson house. And of course, Downeast Mike just pumped that up, didn't he? Levine, who owns a summer home in Maine, recently announced he's considering moving the old wood frame building to New Jersey because of adverse local pressure. The house was the ancestral home of the Olson family, whose crippled daughter, Christina, was pictured crawling through the grass in the foreground of what has become Wyeth's most well-known work. And one has to wonder today if any of that would be appropriate, the term cripple, painting somebody crawling through the field. Nobody would paint Downeast Mike if he was crawling through a field. Now, if you were shopping on this day, it's 1974, you could get Seal Test Light and Lively ice milk, half gallon for 89 cents. You can almost see that cardboard top. It had a little pull tab. You pull that off and you lift up the tab, and inside would be Light and Lively ice milk. And what do you suppose that tastes like? Viva paper towels, 4 for $1. I think that's consistent today, isn't it? Bird's Eye frozen orange plus 9-ounce can, 49 cents. You had to bring your own water. Hydrox cookies were 59 cents. Peaches were 39 cents a pound. Yeah. And men's sports shirts, $3. Fudge bars for 99 cents. What else was on sale? Oh, DAK meat. If the meat's already suspect, and then they abbreviate the name of it, canned luncheon, D.A.K meat, 65 cents for a 12-ounce can. The price is cheap enough, you take a chance, right? Maxwell House Coffee, there's a coupon there for 25 cents off, and that was a 1-pound can. Today, 1 pound is 12 ounces or 10. Well, after you went shopping, you could drop your car off at Grant's in Grant City, and you could get top quality service by professionals. His tune-up special was $19.88. New plugs, points, and rotor, set timing, adjust carburetor, check on scope, check electrical system. I don't think that's a bunch of fluff. I think they went right over it for you for $19.88. I don't see the oil change though. So you wonder. What else did we have? Bub Bean was killed. This was in 1885, July 9th, the end of Maine's most notorious highwayman. He attempts to rob an inoffensive traveler and his head is split open with an axe. That's pretty explicit. It's from Farmington, Maine. Several Canadians who were eyewitnesses of the murderous affray on the Moose River last Saturday were in Farmington Wednesday. And from then, your correspondent with difficulty gleaned a few more particulars of the murder. It seems that a family of brothers named Bean have for many years infested that region and become notorious by their deeds of lawlessness. Concerning them, a Scarborough lawyer said yesterday, we should hardly know we were holding the term of court in Somerset County had we not have them on trial for some offense. They had a kink of hotel. I think they meant kind of hotel, but anyway, kink of hotel on the banks of the Moose River, and they were a perfect terror to Canadians coming down into the States. This season, they have, if possible, been worse than before, detaining the Frenchmen, robbing them, and even stoning and firing upon them as they pass by. Last Saturday, 3 teams of immigrants came down from Canada. The family had been augmented by rough river drivers until it numbered 13 men. The first team was robbed of all its contents. When the second drove by the hotel, they were ordered to halt and give up their liquor. "We have no liquor," responded one of the Frenchmen named Roderick from St. Francis. "Give up your packs then," cried Bean. Of course they refused, and Bean, leveling the pistol at Roderick, and demanded the packs on his life. In the bottom of the team lay a little axe that the party used for cutting dry sticks for kindling fires and similar service. Quick as lightning, Roderick seized it in the defense of his life and hurled it at Bean. It struck the desperado in the head, splitting his head open. He fell instantly, killed. Filled with terror, Bean's accomplices fled into the woods, and Roderick, unmolested, proceeded downriver, where he gave himself into the custody of the law. The last man that passed that way that day saw the deep pool of blood in the road, but was not troubled. Roderick is a drover who makes occasional trips into the States for cattle and sheep. He's a peaceable, prosperous man, and public sympathy is with him everywhere. The French Canadians of Farmington rejoice exceedingly in the death of Bean, and think that the disreputable gang of which he was the head is forever broken up. Well, I think they wrote a book about them later, The Beans of Egypt, Maine. Farmers in the vicinity of Waldo Station have been much annoyed by foxes, says the Belfast Journal. C.D. Davis and J.G. Harding have each lost about 50 hens and chickens, and several others have lost smaller lots ranging from 5 to 20. J.C. Littlefield has lost 2 old turkeys and about 20 young ones. More than $200 worth of poultry has been destroyed by one den of foxes, and they're still at large. Drowning, we're not going to read that one. Let's see, we want... Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, I apologize for the delay there. A special from Michigan. A most curious accident occurred in the city Wednesday afternoon. George Watts, standing near an empty whiskey barrel in Need's Saloon, attempted to light a match on the empty barrel. So I think he was scraping the match. The barrel instantly exploded with a terrific noise that was heard blocks away. Waits was thrown across the room against the wall with terrible force and severely injured. 2 men standing in the doorway were blown out on the street, and barrels scattered through the room in blazing fragments, setting the building on fire. The saloon is in the center of the business part of town, and for a time the excitement caused the suspension of business, there being fears of a general conflagration. The fire was soon extinguished, however. So those old whiskey barrels apparently had enough explosive gases that it would explode with just a spark like that. And I remember they used to buy the old whiskey barrels up in Canada, and they'd put water in them and set them aside. They'd make Newfoundland swish. They'd make it, had enough residual alcohol in it, at least for them. It gave them a little drink. Mr. James Smith of Belfast, whose rumor had been that he was dead several months ago, showed himself to be a pretty lively corpse on Saturday by catching a live deer. The animal was bathing on the shore near Mr. Smith's house when he and a neighbor, Mr. M.F. Gilmore, came upon it, and before the deer knew of their presence, Mr. Smith had her fast. She weighed about 200 pounds and fought like a tiger, but was finally got up to the barn, where on Sunday she had a large number of callers. As the animal refused to eat, Mr. Smith on Monday gave her her liberty. So those were the days where you would just grab a deer and put it in your barn for people to look at for a few hours. The news from all around here, Colonel Silas Gurney of the Tremont House, Boston, is at his summer cottage, Ferry Beach in Saco, Maine. The colonel's family of canines attracts much attention. He has a Texas Collie, a Skye Terrier, English Fox Terrier, and 4 Willoughby Pugs. He's also the owner of a handsome Webster setter of the line that was used by the late Daniel Webster during his hunting expeditions on the Cape, only 6 of whom are now living. And you wonder if that lineage still continues today. Isn't that something? Daniel Webster's dogs in 1895 still around. General Grant, if you're following that story from 1895, on Wednesday night, he slept a sleep of extreme fatigue, and 4 hours between 11 and 3 o'clock were passed without a break of wakefulness. He would have slept on had not Dr. Douglas then awakened him to give him food. Now that makes a lot of sense. Wake up and get some food. His throat was then cleansed, and the general at once fell into a sleep that continued uninterrupted until 6 o'clock Thursday morning. He was much fatigued, and too great a demand was made upon his powers Wednesday, said Dr. Douglas Thursday morning, but he shows no ill effects so far as I can judge this morning, although he has been sleeping a greater part of the time from 6 until 9. I think he has sustained yesterday's strain exceedingly well. Well, we certainly wish General Grant a good night's rest. We've got a recipe for strawberry shortcake. To 1 quart of Hecker's self-rising flour, or in the same proportion, siphon, I think it is, siphon, add 4 tablespoonfuls of butter and rub it thoroughly through the dry flour by hand. Then add 4 tablespoons of powdered sugar, 2 eggs, 1½ cups of milk. Knead as little as possible. Roll thin, bake in a quick oven. After baking, put the strawberries between the layers, sprinkling them with powdered sugar. The above will answer for peach, orange, blackberry, or any other shortcake. Use no yeast, salt, or baking powder. Hecker's self-rising wheat flour makes delicious bread, biscuits, cakes, pastry, etc., without the use of salt, yeast, or baking powder. For sale by John Garner. Doesn't say where you'd go to get it, though. A local fisherman was angling for black bass at Copasaconte. This week, he captured as odd an inhabitant of the lake as a freshwater clam whose shells had closed firmly over the hook, burying it completely out of sight. The fisherman at first believed he had the king of all bass. And I wish we knew how big that was, because it must have been of some size if he thought he had a fish. Freshwater clam. Officer Finn arrested Thomas High of New York for fast driving on the street on Wednesday. High's been driving the streets for several days, police say. He was before the police court on Thursday and was fined $10 in costs, which he paid. High is a harness and carriage dealer. So that is an unusual headline. How's somebody from New York speeding on the streets of Maine? Only difference was it was a horse and buggy. All right, it's time for our Maine's not so biweekly bird. And this is extraordinary. I've got a picture here. If you're following along on the web, this is an American white pelican. He's a guest bird here in Maine. He showed up on July 5th. They actually have pictures of him up on the St. John River with some cormorants. The American white pelican, Pelicanus erytherohynchos, probably mangled it. It's a large white bird, up to 9-foot wingspan. It's got an enormous bill with a distensible gular pouch. We all could have those, and it'd be useful for us, I think. Toe to palmate webbed feet. Nice picture there, those webbed feet. Often seen in flocks, and when in flight, it flies with its head withdrawn. In early breeding season, the bill and the legs are bright orange. The head has white plumes, and there is a laterally flattened horn on the upper mandible. I see it right there. And later on, the leg color fades, the head darkens, and the plumes and horn are lost. And they have a little chart. One of our largest flying birds, considerably larger than a bald eagle, smaller than a California condor, goose-sized or larger. We found a story from 1935 where they were just talking about the white pelican, which once bred generally in Western North America, now has only 4 breeding colonies of significance in Western United States and 3 in Saskatchewan. So in Western US and Canada, they actually go way, way up north into Saskatchewan and Montana, not so much at the coast. They feed from the water surface, dipping their beaks into the water to catch fish and other aquatic organisms. They often upend like a large dabbling duck in this process. They do not plunge dive the way brown pelicans do. They are superb soarers. They're among the heaviest flying birds in the world and often travel long distances in large flocks by soaring. When flapping, their wing beats are slow and methodical, which is the way my mind works. Yeah, so again, that was on the St. John River near the Grand Isle boat landing on July 5th. They took pictures of it. Really, really something. Let's take a quick look at the weather forecast. Let's pull that up here so we know what our weather is. So for today, Saturday, July 9th, it will be sunny and 76. North wind 5 to 10 miles per hour for tonight, clear with a low around 54. What a great camping day. And then tomorrow, sunny and 81. Just a wonderful day here in Downeast Maine. And even Monday, sunny with a high of 83. Just nice, smooth sailing, nice weather ahead for everybody. And we'll round it out with a little song here. We at our gathering over July 4th, we had some family and friends over, and we played a little music. We'll throw that one up on the tubes for you, and you can watch that. Until next time, this is Downeast Mike wishing you and your loved ones a day that is full of grace, love, and kindness. We'll see you.
Pulling on my car, heart's waking up slow. Clouds on the bay, and it's gonna snow. Heading out the door with my coffee cup. Dog's gotta go, and the wife's not up. I'm plowing snow in the rain. I'm mowing in the sun. I work 80 hours, I can't get it done. I could live anywhere, and I must be insane. I choose to live down East Maine. Scrap meddling today. I got a load of pipe, some mufflers, a stove, and the kids' old bike. Well, it's another $100. I'll take it to the store, give a bit to the governor, and she'll just want more. I'm plowing snow in the rain, I'm mowing in the sun. I sleep 80 hours, I can't get it done. I could live anywhere, and I must be insane. I choose to live in down East Maine. It's all good, brother, I have to end the pain. I sleep 6 hours and start right in again. And it's all good, brother, I know that I'm insane. I could live anywhere, but I live in down East Maine. I work 80 hours, I can't get it done. I could live anywhere, and I must be insane. I choose to live in Downeast, Maine. You get through it.
That's talent. Honest to God.
And we didn't hurt